So can you do me a favor and
anyway,
just hold up your book again and smile like a douche like you were just doing?
Hold on, I don't want my connection to get interrupted.
There he is. So there's the guy in that book. Is very near and dear to my heart. So I'm going to introduce Preston Rahn by telling a story he's probably sick of hearing. For those of you guys who don't know Preston, one of the things we're going to be talking about is you've really closed for all the really big names in the industry, Ted MacGrath, Deepak Chopra, and one of the things that happened with Ted MacGrath is you guys actually did $1 million in high-ticket sales in back-to-back weekends, which is pretty fucking mind-blowing, as well as you've done it for me. And I remember when we first brought you on board, I don't know if you remember this, but you were actually a little difficult to work with because every other sales guy was like, hey, it's usually a requirement to record your own calls so that you can audit them and go through quality control, make sure it's being done right. Preston's just like, nah, I don't record my calls. I don't got time for that shit because I'm too busy closing sales. And so we had been in a scenario where for 3 months we had been trying different salespeople and we had got to a lot of people who, I'm talking to so-and-so and it's good and they're going, but nobody actually, was producing sales. And it was a big problem because it worked when I was the sales guy. And as we began to scale and bring in other people, all of a sudden my cash flow was completely upside down because I planned on somebody being able to do results. And so when I brought in Preston, just from my previous experience, was expecting a long-ass learning curve of, I don't know, that it would take a couple months to get him ready. And I remember the first phone call later, you called me and said, he wants to know why the PayPal link is broken or it has the wrong number on it. Can you fix that? And I'm like, for the love of God, I'd log into PayPal and fix it instantly, right? So it was really, really exciting. And then the other thing that you're really good at is not just closing high ticket sales, but doing it in a way where people show up committed, ready to work. So that, it's not just like a make the sale, but set the framework for after. So first of all, Preston, I'm sure you're sick of hearing that story every time we talk, but it is pretty fucking badass. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. And so before I did all that, I did this. I'm a #1 best-selling author. And so I co-authored this book, The New Rules of Success. And that kind of helped to, get me noticed. And it's just a good platform. So I was a #1 best-selling author before I've been in sales my whole life, but that was kind of like my first real big success, and it helped out a lot. And we have done some stuff. And I remember referral, you were like, from Oliver, and Oliver was like, hey, try this guy out. And that's usually how it works. It's a referral and people are like, okay, I'll just give this guy a shot. And then like, with you, Ted MacGrath, same thing. Like he had a sales guy on the team for 9 months. And I talked to the guy and he said, the leads suck. And, I'm not closing any deals. And I was thinking, the first thing I went through my mind was, it's you. It's not the leads.
Yeah.
And so I took a few leads. I said, hey, Ted, just give me 10 leads and I'll show you what I can do. And I closed 4 of the 10 leads for $2,000 a piece. And he was like, dude, that's more than our monthly marketing budget. And so he flew me out to California. I met the team. And it was funny. I was like, hey, so where's the other sales guy? And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, well, the guy that, it's like Ted and the marketing manager and, the event planner. And we even had somebody from like Eben Pagan's office was in there consulting us.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, you're the guy. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And then so I went on, I closed, we did $1 million in 2 back-to-back weekends. I did.
So before we go on, I want to show people really quickly the video because a lot of times people make kind of these big claims in internet marketing and, they're not always substantiated, but you really, really did this. So can I just show the video?
Well, hey, real quick, I'll just set the stage for it. So we did a launch and, well, first I did the 2 back-to-back weekends. So 350,000 one weekend and then 700K, but he did a launch and it was like a 4-week launch. Mm-hmm. And I had I didn't have the most sales, but I had the highest commissions. I had the highest volume. Yeah. And I closed the most. There was like 5 of us on the team, and I did out of the sales we did, there was like $375,000. I did 250 of that personally, and then the other 4 guys combined had the rest. So, and then yeah, play the video, and then it's just basically at one of Ted's events, and I'm on stage, and he's kind of explaining that.
And for people who don't know, just really quickly, Ted MacGrath is one of the big internet celebrities in the scene. If you've never heard of him, he's a big deal.
Yeah, he's got $100,000 and $200,000 packages, and that's kind of what I'm known as, high ticket sales. So I'm a specialist at $10,000 to $100,000, and I've sold $200,000 packages to Ted.
Okay, I love this guy. I want to tell you why. Okay, so we just did our launch, as many of you know. How many of you spoke to Preston on the phone? Anybody? Isn't he awesome? Right? Yes. He's the reason why. Give him a round of applause, huh? So one of the things that I love about him in enrollment, he's great at enrolling customers. Okay. Here's one of the things that I love, and this is one of the things I think people need to learn. He's great on the phone. He's great at enrollment. He had he didn't work the whole launch because we didn't tell him in advance it was going to be so long, because I didn't know. It just kept getting longer and longer. But in the time he did work, he had the most sales in that period of time of all of our salespeople in terms of his volume and his commissions, right? And he does it, and he had the most high-end sales too, right? Like with our different programs. And he does it, and he has an art when he does it. So yes, there's times where he'll pull people in, but there's times where he'll go, hey, just go think on that. Right? So he has that ability, and I think that's a gift when you're enrolling people. All right? So speak to him about it. If you're interested in the high-end sales conversation, we're working together, enrolling people in high-end programs, higher-end programs, all kinds of different programs, and even our entry-level programs. And he's doing it on all different levels for us. So he has an ability there. And if you want to talk to him about that and you're curious as how that type of conversation goes, have lunch with him. Okay? Sound good?
You've seen a pretty wide spectrum of people closing leads in a lot of different niches, not just in the make money online, but a whole lot of them, health, fitness, all over the board. What are I would say the one biggest thing that you see people religiously do wrong, and the one big thing that they could improve that would make their life a whole lot better in this?
As far as high ticket sales, it's really just the I call it your inner game versus your outer game. And it's, people are always coming to me like, how do I get leads? And how do I close deals? And how do I do, it's all the external stuff. And I always tell them that you've got to master the inner stuff first. You've got to, like, success comes from within. So for instance, what I mean by that is, like, let's say, I'm on a team of salespeople. A lot of times during the sales meetings, a lot of the people will complain about, oh, the leads are crap, people don't have money, nobody has any time, people aren't showing up. And the first thing that I think of is that it's you. Like, you're the one, by saying all that stuff, you're putting it out into the universe, and you're attracting that back in. And whether you believe in, the higher power and law of attraction, God, the universe, that kind of stuff, this stuff works. I don't know how it works, but all I know is that it works. And when you start focusing on the negative things, that's the inner game, right? You're focusing on negative stuff. And so what happens is that starts to show up in your outer world. You start seeing the things that go through your head. And what is a belief? A belief is just a thought that goes through your head over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So if you start thinking like, well, today sucks, and oh my God, I don't have any money, and nobody's got money, and nobody's, all these leads are canceling on me, no one's showing up, and guess what's going to happen? You're going to start seeing more and more of that. And it's kind of counterintuitive, but you've got to flip it. You got to say, hey, I'm thankful for all the people that have money that are showing up. I'm thankful for all the the people that need my help, and that I can help them. And I'm waiting for these people to show up. Like, I can't wait for the people that just have the those deals that just come in. It's like out of the blue. They're just like, hey, it's $50,000 paid in full, and they're like, okay, where do I wire the money? and the money comes in, like the wire shows up in an hour. Like those things happen all the time because I focus on that. So when I see these people, struggling like that, that's the first thing that I say is that you've really got to change your inner game. You got to start changing the things you think about, the things that you say, and that's going to start changing the things that you do. And then you're going to start seeing that stuff show up. So for instance, right before a phone call, I always go in and I say, I take some deep breaths. I get some oxygen flowing, and I just say, look, the thing that I'm selling is worth 10 times the price that I'm charging. Like it's a bargain, right? Like if you don't get into this, even though it seems like a high price at $100,000, what is that going to really do for you? I mean, if you're looking at it as an expense or an investment. So regardless of what level you invest at, first of all, there's people that invest at every level, but they're going to get a return on that investment. So I know if the system isn't crappy and you do the work, you're going to get results just like the other people that have followed the system. The only reason I think, like, I'm not going to sell things that suck, right? So I go through people's things and I know if they work or not. And if I don't believe in that, I'm not going to sell it. So I got to believe in what I'm selling. And I think that's what most people, but I think some salespeople just come in for a job and they're like, I don't really give a shit what I'm selling. I just want to go for a paycheck. When you start thinking along those lines, that's where all the trouble and struggle starts happening, because you're just doing it for money instead of like the lifestyle. So I always flip it. Like I don't work for money. I create a lifestyle, and then I let the business support my lifestyle. It's like where I'm at now. Like
down in the ocean. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at this badass place here, and there's our pool is down here, and I usually do my interviews from down there. But there's the guy, he's power washing. So
all that first world problems.
Yeah, and it's on the 9th floor, so that's pretty cool. I live in the luxury, high rise and near the beach, downtown Boca Raton, and so it's the lifestyle. I envisioned this. Like I was in Colorado last year, and I was like, I need to be back in Florida, and so you get what you think about. So here I am. I was picturing palm trees and sunshine, and maybe not 9th floor pools, but I got one. I walk outside, there's Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Rolls Royce and, all kinds of crazy cars, and yeah, it's awesome.
I know. And you drive like a fucking maniac too in your own car. So yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what you said. I actually had a really interesting experience. We were in Thailand and we took a little taxi from our hotel to the downtown island we were on. It was like $3 US. And then on the way back, we went to go grab a taxi, and the guy said it's $5. And I was like, well, why isn't it $3? Because I just paid $3, right? And he immediately went down to $3, and you could see that look on his face of, oh, these white people, they don't have any money, right? They're all so cheap. I'm getting the bad leads. You could see all those expressions on his face, and what he didn't realize is, he just didn't really believe in his own value. If he had just said, well, we got more comfy seats, or I got air conditioning, or mine's got bottles of water, or I don't see any other cabs, it's a $2 no walking fee, right?
I'm worth it.
Yeah.
That's how I started my first thing. Like I started working at a sales training company in like 2011, and I started selling this other guy's program, and it was like $2,500. Well, when I was going in, and so he gave me, this is how I came up with what I'm doing now, to be honest. So this is kind of like the origin story. But he goes, hey, if you sell my program, I'll give you 30%. I'll take 70 and you get 30. And he goes, if you actually coach the program, you'll get 70 and he'll get 30. So when I started doing the sales conversations, same thing. The guy, they're like, I go, well, we have 2 packages. I go, you can coach with the main guy for $2,500, or you can hire me for $3,500. And they were like, why would I hire you if he's the one that you learned his system and you're working for him? Why would I hire you for $3,500 versus him? And I go, because quite frankly, I give you more value. I'm worth it. And I started doing that.
Amen to that.
And so that's kind of where it started, I guess. I just always believe that my value is greater than what's out there. And I think that's what a lot of people do, is they go the other way. Oh, yeah, 100,000, sweet. Well, I couldn't do that. Maybe I'll just discount it to 10 grand.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do that. Maybe I'll just discount it to 5. Who's going to pay 10 grand? Well, let's just do 5 grand. And they don't ever even offer the $100,000 package. So how can you even get a $100,000 client if you never even offer it? You're too scared to offer it.
Yeah, sure that.
What's the worst they can say is no. You're already at a no.
Yeah, exactly.
And then an accident could happen, and they could say, okay.
So I got a question for you on that, because I know you're a Jedi master of this now, and you can close $200,000 packages, and you're kind of in a situation where, you can write your own ticket based on everything you know. But I'm sure you sucked in the beginning like most of us, and you probably feared rejection and were uncomfortable. I really doubt that it was easy from day one for you. So, can you take me back to the beginning, and what are some of the big things you learned that really kind of helped push you forward?
Yeah, so I used to be in marketing. So I built my first website in 1998, before Google was even a company.
Yeah.
And I ended up just going through some things. I did some marketing and stuff, and then I got to a point where I met that guy that had the sales training company, and so I started going through his stuff, and that's kind of how it switched. I really just got so tired of trying to keep up with Google and their algorithm changes that I literally took all my notes on marketing and I threw it away. And I read a book called, I think it was called The One Thing. And it was like, you got to focus on one thing. Yeah. Focus on one thing. Focus on one thing. And he had an awesome book when I was in mortgages called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, so Gary Keller's stuff was just awesome. So I got it, but that's got me focused. I go, what am I good at? I enjoy talking. I enjoy sales. I've been a good salesperson my whole life. So I was like, why don't I just focus on sales? And then this guy, I met him on LinkedIn, and he goes, hey, have you ever thought about becoming a coach? I was like, yeah, I thought about it, but I don't even really know what it is. Like, I don't even know what coaching is. And he's like, well, I'll if you want to sell my stuff, I'll, let you learn my system, and then you can be a coach. And so that was kind of how it started, where I went to go work for a sales training company for like a year and a half. And then I went to a marketing event. I got invited. I remember I wanted to go to this event so bad. And I was really getting into like the law of attraction and stuff. So I said a prayer. I was like, oh my God, it was like a $500 ticket or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, I don't have $500 to spend on this, And I was like,
nice.
Well, actually, before I get to that story, I want to tell you about the bad stuff. So before I started working for the sales training company, this is why I got so discouraged with the marketing, because every time I would do like a conversation, I did everything good, and I was getting to the end, and then people were like, man, this is awesome. You're a good person. I love you. Your enthusiasm and stuff. But let me think about it. And I would just hear that all the time. Or this is awesome. This is so cool. And I kept thinking what the hell? Everybody thinks that I'm awesome, and they think my stuff's good, but they don't ever buy. And I was like, something's wrong. And then this guy came in, and I was like, this is what I need. So I went through his system. I remember how awesome it was. So I was going through and I was learning his system, and I had my notes in the other room. And I had this guy that wanted to do I think he wanted to, I was doing website stuff, and I was like, yeah, I have a $2,500 package or like a $1,000 package or something like that. And I was like, it wasn't a video like this, it was a call. And I remember that I just put my phone down, and I ran into the other room. I got my notes. I came back, and I just literally, I was shaking. I was shaking. I was like, all right, I'm going to just follow this guy's system. And it was so awkward because it wasn't something I'm used to. So I started reading the script, and I just went through, and I went through. And then at the end, I said, well, I have two options. I have this. I recommend that you take this option because of what we talked about. But, it's your money. It's your life. What option would you like? And he's like, well, I think I'll take that option. And I was like, okay, cool. But inside I was like, what? Did he just say yes? I was like, oh my God, that was the easiest. So inside I was just bouncing off the road. I was like, oh my God, yeah, I got $2,500 coming in. Holy shit, But I was like, okay, sweet. So here, let me send you the PayPal link. And then here's, this. And I go, just stay on the call. I was like, go through it. And then he paid. And I was like, okay, thanks. Have a good day. And we'll get started on this right away. And then I hung up, and I was like, oh shit. And I like called him up and I was like, oh my God, you don't know what happened. I just went through the script and I did it. The guy said yes. And I was like, oh my God. And I was freaking out. But that was kind of the change for me. And I was like, I had the confidence now. And I was like, okay, it's the system. Obviously it's not me, right? Because everybody else was like, oh, Preston, you're awesome. And then your stuff's good, but I don't want to pay for you, right?
Yeah.
So now all I did is I followed the system. And that was it. And that's what I tell people today. It's like, yeah, I might have a little bit more confidence. I might have a little more balls to say certain things. And I might be a little bit, I call it slightly aggressive. I'm not like pushy or anything, but I'm going to challenge you. Like if you're there and you go through an hour-long conversation and you tell me that
I've seen it.
Money.
On that subject, I've seen you on our sales calls, because you closed for us for a while, go to somebody, hey, if we even let you into this program, we send you 5 to 10 phone calls a month. Are you going to close them? Are you going to do your part? Are you going to treat them like good clients and make them come back? I've seen you do that whole role reversal. It's amazing to watch.
I did it the other night. If you looked at my post, I closed a $10,000 deal the other night at like midnight. I was talking to a guy in Australia, and I ended up getting his wire. He wired it. I stayed up. I actually passed out for an hour. I woke up, and he wired the money over. So at 3 a.m. I woke up and I was like, oh, hey, I see that you wired the money. Sweet. And kind of the same thing. The guy was like, no, I need to see your testimonials, and I need to, have another conversation, and like I need to think about it. I have a process. It takes 3 days for me to go through and do all this stuff. And I was like, It's like, okay. I was like, well, let's just have a conversation about that real quick. I was like, can I ask you a question? And then I said, so, what's the reasoning behind all that? Like, what if you could make a decision in 24 hours? What if we did this? What if we did this? I go, so what if we did do something? Like, what would that look like for you? And he started selling himself. He's like, well, I really want to do this, but I can't really do this level, and I can't do this. And I go, okay, cool. So instead of him saying so I said initial price, I said it's $20,000. And I go, I'll give you a scholarship right now if you make a decision with me on the call for $5,000. He's like, I don't do that. And I go, okay, cool. I was like, so if you want to come back in 3 days, we can talk 20K. He's like, I'll be happy to come back and talk 20K. In my mind, I'm like, bullshit. No one's going to just waste $5K for that. So I hear that right off the bat. Like, and what are most salespeople going to do? Okay, cool. I'll call you back in 3 days and we'll talk about it.
And then
guess what happens?
Chase them and chase them.
And then guess what happens? That person never comes back, and you do that. You end up chasing them.
Yeah.
I don't do that. So I can see what's going to happen. This guy's going to go to somebody else and he's going to buy from somebody else, somebody else's package. So I just said, let's have a conversation about it. And then, 20 minutes later, maybe 30 minutes later, I talked to him and I said, well, what's really your concern? Like, tell me this, let's talk about it. Like, hey, so if we do this and this and this, and I said, well, what if we just took a few things off and we get down, I normally do this at 15K. What if we just did this deal at 10K? And he said, cool, let's do it. He's like, I'm excited, I'll do it. So those are some of the things you got to do is you got to sit there and you got to everything. Like here's a thing that I always follow, about 80-20 rule. 80% of the time things are going to be pretty good, but 20% of the time you got to do stuff like that. You got to go out and you got to challenge people, or it could be the opposite way. 80% of the time shit doesn't happen, but 20% of the time you could have these people come in that are ready to go, and you just need to challenge them a little bit. So you're going to get some of those people that don't ever go for it. You're going to get some of those people that are yeah, I'm going to go. But 80% of the people are going to be right in the middle, and they're going to, you as a salesperson, your job pretty much starts when they have that objection. Anybody can go through and give a pitch, but it's when you come to the offer and you ask somebody for the sale. That's where most people, in fact, that's where the 80-20, 80% of the people hire me specifically for that, how to ask for the sale.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of little things like tonality. Like if you just listened to how I said that, there's structure behind that. I said, how to close a sale. I start high and I end low. It's called a power statement. So little things like that. So the words we say are important, but only about 10%. It's how we say these things. It's how we come across.
Yeah.
Doing little pauses. It's challenging somebody like, that's interesting. Do you mind me asking you, why did you say that right now? Why is that important to you? I don't know. Can you help me to understand? And that's all we really are there to do, is try to understand them as a person. But most salespeople just want to sell. I don't go into these conversations to sell. I just go in to have a conversation. I just go in to find out about you. I just go in to see where you are now, where you want to be in the future, what's getting in your way, and if we can help you, then that's when I get a little more aggressive. If I can't help you, hey, that's cool. I don't think we can help you. But if I can help you, well, as your trusted advisor now, and you just told me that you don't want to live that life anymore, how can I ethically let you walk out that door and go back to the life that you just told me that you don't want to live when I know that I can help you get out of it? The only barrier is money.
It's funny too, because so much of that is just, people are conditioned to put off sales. Like I know when we did our stuff with the lawyers, they would click on an ad that says they don't have enough clients. They'd go to a landing page and register that says they don't have enough clients. They'd watch a hour-long webinar that says they don't have enough clients. They'd watch 10 more videos about how they don't have enough clients. And then they schedule a sales call that says they don't have enough clients. And then they get on the call, tell you they don't have enough clients, and then get to the end and then tell you, I don't know, I need to think about it, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, ethically, if you can help them with that,
exactly. So most salespeople are going to go, okay, cool. Well, let me follow up with you in a couple of weeks. No. I'm not going to let you go. Like, I'm going to stay on that phone until you hang up on me. And I'm not going to be mean or aggressive, but I'll just keep asking you a question. I'll just be like, oh, you know what? Hey, I just thought about this. Like, let me ask you this. Like, oh, what about this scenario? Hey, here's another thing. Hey, I had a story. Hey, I got another client that was in the same position as you. I just keep it going. Going. Well, what about this? Like, I'm trying to tweak things out. Remember 80-20 rule. I'm trying to get my own 20% away from the script. Like 80% of it's scripted, but 20% of it, I got to, think up on the fly.
Yeah, and you're really getting to the truth, right? Like, it's like you want them to either give you a yes or a no, but not a maybe. Like, and people don't realize you're okay with a no. Yeah. You're just not okay with maybe, and let's talk about it and think about it.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, you would think that it's just the salespeople, but I kind of have a tagline. I'm the guy that gurus hire. I'm the guy that gurus hire. Yeah. Because of all these guys like Ted MacGrath, and I mean, I can go down a list, all these different people. Like you said, Deepak Chopra is this high-end sales guy, and Alex Jeffries and Ted MacGrath, and I mean, the list goes on, So, but the funny thing is that these people, when they come in, I'm actually consulting with them and saying, hey, like, you're even like Ted MacGrath, all right, you're a marketing and sales guy, right? You sell these high-end programs. You teach people marketing and sales. But then there's me that comes in and I go, hey, Ted, you're going to have to kind of tweak your funnel right here in this little spot. I don't think you should say this, and I think you should change this here. And then when they do those changes, they get significant results. But there are some people out there too that don't want to make the changes. Like I have a client that is selling for somebody else, and the last 2 weeks they've had like just no show after no show after no show. And I just said, hey, one thing that you could simply do is just put a $197 or $497 price tag up before they make the strategy session call. And I guarantee you, I go, your show up rate is going to skyrocket when people are paying to show up.
Yeah.
Now, and here's the other side of it. If you're selling a 10 or 20 or $50, $100,000 package, and people aren't going to be willing to spend $200 or $500 initially just to jump on a call, do you think that they're really likely going to have the money to go forward? So these are like little things you can do to weed out. Like, our time is very valuable. So, and then if I have a client like that that's like, no, I'm not interested in applying that, I leave. Like, it's happened all the time. I'm not going to say who it was, but there was a big company in the LinkedIn niche, and they consulted me, and I went through and I told them specifically that, and at the very last minute they pulled it. They did not do the payment, and the sales totally reflected.
So I'm going to ask you here, obviously I got to do some editing, but Preston, obviously you're a genius here. If people want to find out more about you, what's the best way to do that?
You could just go to PrestonRahn.com, PrestonRahn.com, or I have a 10-step checklist if you want to get my 10-step checklist for giving perfect strategy sessions. Just go to perfectstrategysessions.com, and you can get the checklist, and I got a free training video after that. People tell me all the time, they're like, man, I went through your training video, and it was awesome. It's not that long. It's like like 40 minutes or something like that. And so perfectstrategysessions.com, and get that checklist. And then, yeah, if you want to, do some consulting, hit me up.
He's definitely the guy. I will tell you that just my experience, Preston is a real gem, not just in his ability to close sales, but the fact that he's, a good human being of integrity behind it, and he actually, cares about helping people. So check that out, and thank you so much for doing this, brother. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you, man.